Real quick, I just want to throw this at the start of the video and let you guys know that starting in Lightfall, they're going to be kind of streamlining the crafting economy even more. As part of the initiative, they're going to be completely removing resonant elements from the game. Standard currency such as Glimmer enhancement cores will replace the element costs that exist today. They'll also be removing the deep sight attunement objective altogether. Resonant and harmonic alloys will still be used at launch. However, they are planning to overhaul those currencies later in Lightfall. Ascendant alloys will also remain as is for now. Thought this would be some pretty good information to bring to some people because it's just making the whole crafting process easier, which, let's be real, it was definitely a drag throughout this entire year when it was first introduced. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this down below, and let's go ahead and talk more about Strand. So as we know, each subclass does have its own type of verbs and or its own vocabulary, and Strand is no exception. When you create an object using Strand, that is going to be called a weaving. Defeating an enemy affected by Strand is going to unravel them, disconnecting them from the life force from the weave, creating a tangle. Left behind after a Strand debuffed enemy is defeated. A tangle is a swirling bundle of Strand fibers. These bundles of Strand explode when shot, causing area damage to nearby enemies. Guardians can also pick up tangles and throw them to deadly effect, aka the new and improved version of the Warmind cells. That's why they're getting yeeted out the game. Now let's go ahead and talk some Strand debuffs. We have Suspend, which a suspended PvE enemy is lifted off the ground for a brief duration and is essentially disabled. Okay, now in PvP, suspended players are going to be lifted off the ground, but they can still move, albeit a little bit slowly, and fire their weapon to fight back. Unravel. Attacking an unraveled enemy will cause threads to burst out of the target and attack other nearby targets. Once hit, that target will also become unraveled, kind of looking like a form of volatile in a way. Then we have Sever, which a severed enemy is less capable of affecting the material world, basically reducing their damage output as a result. So you sever an enemy, they're going to be doing less damage to you. Simple as that. And then we also have the major Strand buff, which is going to be called Woven Mail. With this ability, the Guardian is sheathed in a protective mesh of Strand matter, reducing incoming damage. Note that in PvP, Woven Mail will only reduce damage taken to the body. Head damage and melee damage will not be affected and will be normal. All right, now let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the grapple, which is obviously going to be a new ability courtesy of Strand. With this ability, players can press the grenade button and their Guardian will weave a hook from Strand matter, which they can grab onto an anchor point. The grappling hook will then begin contracting, pulling the Guardian along. Strand's grapple can create its own grapple points out of thin air, so you can always propel yourself through the skies, even if there's not a solid surface to latch onto. Guardians will also be able to execute melee strikes during or at the end of a grapple, known as a grapple melee, which will deal bonus damage, unravel an enemy, and push them backwards. That seems pretty cool. Now let's talk a little bit more about the actual Strand subclasses. So the first one we'll talk about is going to be the Warlock. Real quick, they describe the Warlock as a Summoner Master style of subclass. They also do have their Strand melee, which is going to be called the Arcane Needle, which is a deadly projectile that tracks to its targets, and it causes unravel upon impact. And you get 3 of these charges. You get 3 of these melee charges. Okay, that's pretty cool. And also, every class is going to be having 2 Strand aspects at launch, and then more will be released as Lightfall progresses throughout the year. For the Warlock, we have things like the Weaver's Call. On Riftcast, the Warlock weaves 3 threadling eggs, which hatch into threadlings when they hit a surface. Any perched threadlings are converted to additional eggs. What is perching, you may say? Well, here's an example. Let's say you have 3 threadlings, okay? You only need 2 of them to defeat an enemy. You're the Warlock. The last one is going to run back to you and just chill with you, okay? It's just chilling with you. It's your homie. It's going to condense down into a little form that is going to then orbit you, kind of like Child of the Old Gods or an Arc Soul. And when it does this little orbit around you, that is what is known as perching. Then the next time that you attack an enemy, it's going to hop off and it's going to go run and attack the same enemy you shoot. That is really cool, okay? I'm just saying. The next aspect that the Warlock has is going to be called Mind Spun Invocation. This aspect improves several of the Warlock abilities. Threadling Grenade, you can consume your Threadling Grenade to generate a full complement of perched threadlings. I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. And then we have the Shackle Grenade. You can consume your Shackle Grenade to gain a buff, creating a suspending detonation on every kill. Also, with this Mind Spun Invocation, whenever you execute a grapple melee, the Warlock is going to weave 3 threadling eggs from the target that you hit your melee with, which is dope. This all culminates into the Warlock's Needle Storm. This is their new super. It's a deadly combination of burst damage and area denial. On cast, the Warlock conjures Strand matter into a fusillade of hardened spikes, launching them forwards with a wave of their hand. Missiles will stick into enemies and the environment alike before detonating and reweaving themselves into an army of threadlings that will hunt down any survivors. Bro, the Warlock Strand subclass looks absolutely awesome. All right, now let's talk about the Hunter Strand subclass a little bit more. We're starting off with their melee attack. That's going to be called the Threaded Spike. It has the Hunter hurling out a rope dart that bounces between enemies, damaging and severing them before returning to the hunter. Upon its return, it grants melee energy for each enemy hit. Hunters can catch the rope dart by pressing the melee input button at the right time. Perfecting that timing will earn the player an additional amount of melee energy. Dude, that's just cool. And then the Hunter's 2 strand aspects at launch are going to be Ensnaring Slam. While in the air, press the air move input to slam downwards, spinning all nearby enemies. It's going to be like your Shatter Dive for the Strand subclass. And then we have Widow's Silk. This aspect grants an additional grenade charge. The Hunter's grapple ability creates a persistent grapple tangle when it latches, which fully refunds grenade energy when grappled to. Hunters can then use this ability to set up chains of grapple points that their entire team can use, greatly enhancing their ability to quickly move around in combat and or traverse the environment. Now we gotta talk about their super, which is going to be called the Silk Strike, okay? When activated, the Hunter uses their grapple to freely move through the world in third-person view, while also throwing their rope dart to strike down enemies. Hunters will be able to use grapple more often during their super, and the rope dart features both a light and heavy attack. The light attack is meant for single opponents and can be used in air and on the ground. When on the ground, the Hunter can chain attack seamlessly, hitting an enemy with the tip of the dart deals bonus damage, and defeating an enemy with it causes the enemy to explode. The heavy attack has the Hunter swing the rope dart around in a 360-degree arc, damaging all nearby enemies. As with the light attack, this can be used on the ground or in the air. Honestly, Hunter Super sounds hella badass. And that Widow's Silk definitely has me intrigued, bro. Now we gotta talk about the most clowned on subclass out of the 3, the Titan subclass. Okay, so the Titan's melee ability is gonna be called Frenzy Blade. With the press of a melee button, the Titan dashes forward and slashes at enemies with their strand arm blades, okay? Severing victims and decreasing their damage output. With the default set of 3 charges as well, Titans can chain these slashes together for maximum offensive power. That's pretty dope. We then got the 2 Titan aspects, Into the Fray. Destroying a tangle weaves woven mail onto the Titan and nearby allies. In addition to reducing damage taken, this aspect also increases the Titan's melee energy regeneration while wearing woven mail. We then have Dringer's Lash. When the Titan casts their class ability, the Titan will blast forward a powerful ripple in reality, suspending enemies that are caught in the shockwave's path. We then have the Titan's super Blade Fury, okay? Not a gun from Borderlands 3, but that's neither here nor there. The Blade Fury sees the Titan dual-wielding fist blades and roaming the battlefield with ill intent. The super's light attack is a supercharged version of the frenzied blade melee attack, and each light attack that connects increases the next attack speed, which tops out after a maximum of 3 hits. In addition, connecting with light attacks also builds energy for the super's heavy attack with each hit. With the heavy attack, the Titan hurls a pair of projectiles forward that seek out enemies, suspending and damaging them upon impact. Bro, that Into the Fray aspect is going to be giving the Titan a little bit of support. Give me that free armor, bro. Give me that. Having a Titan destroy a tangle and giving your entire fire team woven mail is definitely going to be pretty awesome going into Lightfall. And we're almost done here, folks. The last thing I want to talk about are going to be parts of the Strand subclass that all 3 characters are going to have, okay? Stuff like the grapple and the new grenades, which the grapple is considered a new grenade. The threadling grenade splits into the 3 projectiles that weave into threadlings upon impact, and then the shackle grenade effectively acts as a bola, that's like a rope with 2 balls at the end of it, detonating in a suspending blast and sending out smaller secondary bolas to suspend nearby enemies, okay? Then we have 5 strand fragments real quick. We have Thread of Ascent, activating your grenade ability, reload your equipped weapon, and grants increased weapon handling and airborne effectiveness for a short time. Kind of like a free demolitionist, but it's a fragment of your subclass instead of a perk on the gun. We then have Thread of Fury, damaging targets with the tangle, grants melee energy, simple enough. Thread of Finality, finishers generate threadlings. And then Thread of Warding, picking up an orb of power, grants woven mail. But there you have it though, guys. That is going to be the breakdown on the Strand subclasses, the supers, the two aspects each subclass is getting, and a little bit more in between. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Strand subclasses so far. Thank you so much for watching. I know this video was a lot longer than normal videos that I make. Hope y'all enjoyed. You guys be safe.